Last night at the box, final midweek game prior to conference play, LSU takes care of business 16-0 in a game where they only scored in 3 of the 8 innings in which they hit. But they scored 3 in the 5th and 7 in the 6th and 6 in the 8th to beat Blake Dean and the Privateers 16-0. There are some things that I took from the game. The score and most of the play-by-play is fairly inconsequential. LSU is really good. UNO is not. But I wanted to see what Chase Shores looked like last night. And he's just, the word that comes to mind when I watch Chase Shores pitch is raw. The fastball is still explosive, 95, 96, 98. But he doesn't have big strikeout numbers this year. If you look at the statistics, Chase Shores has thrown 11 1/3 innings, and he's only got 8 strikeouts. And for a guy who throws 99 miles an hour, you would think that number would be higher. And it's not, because he doesn't have great command of his secondary stuff, and it's not where it will be. He just has trouble putting guys away. He can throw strikes early, he can blow guys away, but snapping off that nasty slider to get the swing and a miss for strike 3, not there. He doesn't have a go-to changeup that he can go to that really throws off guys' timing and gets swings and misses. And last night, he works into the 3rd inning and only strikes 2 guys out. Now, one of them was a big one right there in the 3rd inning when they've got 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, and he gets a big punch out before Garrett Edwards was going to come in. But I'll just go ahead right now, as we sit here, obviously, and SEC play is 2 days away, and waved the flag on one of my 5 bold predictions for the year. One of them was that Chase Shores would start 10 SEC games. He's not. He's not there. It kind of looked that way to me. Looked like we were progressing that way in preseason. I thought his starts in scrimmages in January were really encouraging. He was getting some strikeouts then, but you were working in pretty short increments. It wasn't like we were seeing him go 6 and 7 innings. They don't do that in the preseason. He was going 1, 2, or 3 innings, and it looked pretty good to me. And I was thinking, this is going to progress, and he's going to be a weekend guy. And now, as I look at it, that's not going to be the case. I still like the idea of trying to stretch him out, but as we've seen, the second time through the order in these outings, teams have gotten to him a little bit, whether it's command or just getting base hits. And walks a guy last night, and then the next guy, he gets behind, it's a 3-ball count. He throws a fastball down the chute, and the kid rips it down the left field line for a double, and you've got 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. And that's just a product of teams not fearing his breaking stuff and getting behind in counts. So Chase Shores has some work to do. I think that he's got an unbelievable upside, and I think he's going to be a weekend starting pitcher at LSU before his time is done. I don't now think that there's a near path to that this year. But I still like the idea of him starting in the midweek. Now, Garrett Edwards took the reins from Chase Shores last night. And if you watched the preseason video that Musso and I did, if you've listened to Musso at the box, you've heard him sing the praises of Garrett Edwards. And in that preseason video we did, I said, I think there are some guys that are ahead of him in the pecking order. And at that time, Grant Taylor was still around, and you were kind of looking at some other pieces. And I kind of thought, okay, if I'm looking at the bullpen, I think Riley Cooper, I think Nate Ackenhausen, I think Christian Little, I think Grant Taylor. I'm looking at 4 or 5 guys, to me, that I would put above Garrett Edwards in that pecking order in the bullpen. Well, Grant Taylor goes down. A guy like Chase Shores is still kind of searching for his role, but Garrett Edwards has kind of found his, and that looks encouraging. One, the stuff is really good. He's throwing 95 miles an hour, and the breaking ball is plus. He's getting swings and misses with it. And 2, he's not walking anybody. You look at Garrett Edwards, who's had 5 appearances on the year. They've totaled 12 and 2/3 innings, and he didn't have a walk. That is a guy I want coming out of the bullpen. Because you always talk about relievers extinguishing fires when they come in. Well, you can dump gas on them, too. You start throwing balls that aren't over the plate and falling behind in counts and walking guys and giving up hits because you're in 2-0, 3-1 counts. He's pitching from ahead and putting guys away. Garrett Edwards is a pleasant surprise on the positive end for me, for sure, for this team right now. And again, more of that has to do with what I'm watching on the mound than it has to do with what the statistical results are. New Orleans is not going to hit LSU pitching very often. So, and neither is most of the teams they played, quite honestly. So, Garrett Edwards, statistically, with what you can roll out, is not necessarily perfectly translatable to playing against Arkansas and Ole Miss and down the line Auburn and A&M. But throwing it over the plate is. And I think that was very, very encouraging from a pitching perspective. Tommy White hit a home run last night to left field. That's his first as a Tiger. The first 5 he hit were the other way. And this is the type of hitter that he is. He is going to hit the ball the other way with power, probably more so than he pulls the ball. Go back and type in YouTube Tommy White, NC State, and you watch the home runs he hits, right field, center field, right center field, right field. He's an opposite field power hitter, but sometimes you get the bat head out there, and he's plenty strong enough to hit it to left field. So I enjoyed watching him drive the ball out of the ballpark to left field. That was very encouraging. And I like seeing Gavin Dugas get back in there and go 2 for 3 and launch a ball out of the ballpark. You start to look at the ceiling of this LSU lineup, not where it is or what's probable. I'm talking about what could be. And if you get the best version of a lot of these guys, it's real frightening. And it was pretty easy to suggest you would get the best of Dylan Cruz. I use air quotes there. It was pretty easy to suggest you would get the best of Tommy White. It was pretty easy to suggest you'd get the best of Trey Morgan. Those guys have phenomenal track records. It was not easy, and still is not easy, to project that you will get, quote-unquote, the best of Gavin Dugas. When you don't practice all fall, and then you come back in January, and then you have to sit at the beginning of practice again, if I'm going to sit here and tell you, yeah, this guy's going to hit 19 homers. SEC RBI leader. Just go in there at second base, hadn't played there. Don't worry about it. It'd be great. That's disingenuous. It's just blind homerism. It's not to say it's impossible, but to project that to be the case would be hard to do. And all of a sudden you look up and Gavin Dugas is hitting .408. He's got 5 home runs. And he's playing solid defense. That's very, very encouraging. They were able to get Riley Cooper on the mound last night. He retired all 3 batters he faced. They were able to get Blake Money out there. He did have a walk and a strikeout. I do believe Blake Money has a role in this bullpen. I think it's a tick behind Cooper, a tick behind Ackenhausen, a tick behind Edwards, a tick behind Little. But there. And look, let's face it. Over the course of a weekend, you got to win 3 ball games. You can't just go to your top 2 guys. Depth matters. And, man, I think Blake Money in a short stint, 4 batters, 3 batters, 5 batters. Fastball's still 93, 94. Breaking ball's pretty good. He's been on the mound in big situations, major league ballpark, regional atmospheres. He's got to be a guy for this team. And I think that's possible. Hey, thanks so much for watching the Hunt Palmer Show on YouTube. If you don't mind, throw us a like right below and hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time.